Hello, this is Su Leone. I'm talking about Excel, specifically how to use Excel if you've never used it before, but you're in a surveying class. I wanted you to understand all of how this whole thing works. This happens to be Chapter 8, which is in Survey 1. And I have my bar at the top set up for my things. This is on my laptop, so it looks a little different than maybe what you have. So you've got tabs, you've got ribbons, just like any kind of Microsoft product. There are also, this is actually a workbook of multiple spreadsheets. So you can see at the bottom there are different tabs that have different content. If you look here, notice that these little arrows are black, which means there is more content. There are more tabs that just happen to not be visible. So let's click this one, and then you can see it turned gray. So we're done with 8.16. Likewise, you can keep going like that. If you need to get to the complete front or the complete back of the list, you can actually just hit Control and then click, and it just brings you to the other side. This is a really good example of a complicated spreadsheet. I make these spreadsheets so that you don't ever have to set them up again. However, you do need to understand how they work so that if you do need to make modifications at some point in the future, you can do that independently and not totally mess everything up so that it's unusable. I like to start with givens and then finds. So let's take a look. If it is yellow, that probably means you need to input something there. Here's the HI, the height of the rod at A and B. This is not yellow, which means you should not mess with it unless you know what you're doing, because it is actually a formula. These are not inputs. Okay. So again, here's more things that you are inputting. Here is something in red that says how you would figure this out. This is the degrees, minutes, seconds that are input, and then you can see that this is using, if you look up in the formula bar, it is using that formula that I wrote there. These are cell references, like D14 refers to column D, row 14, so it's that cell right there. And if you click on the formula bar, it will highlight all of the cells that are referenced. And what's really cool is each cell will be in a different color. It says here, if backsite face 1 HR is greater than 180, subtract 360 before you enter it. These have an asterisk, and I've indicated that they are a special thing called an array. If you accidentally edit these cells, in order to get them to function again, you must use Control-Shift-Enter instead of just hitting Enter to get out of the cell. So that's important. So these actually refer to these formulas over there. And you can see that it's an array because it has a curly bracket, and you cannot just type the curly bracket. You have to do Control-Shift-Enter. All right, so this says blue formula, red formula, green formula. What on earth is that about? Well, this is a big spreadsheet. So you can see you've got some scrolling room. There it is. There's a red formula, a blue formula, and a green formula. So you can see, like this one is the change in Z, which is the change in elevation. You can see that we actually use it in conjunction with something else. That's this one. Whenever you need green, generally means it's an answer that you're looking for. I try to tell you what the literal formula is with just variables so that you can therefore understand when you click in a cell to look at its cell references, what it's actually trying to do. So remember, you can format, merge cells, just means like if you select multiple cells and merge them, they become one cell. You can wrap text. You can change the color and the font and all of that. Another important thing is if you're doing statistics, this Autosum button up here, you get a quick list of common functions. Just remember that a function is an argument within a formula, and formulas always start with, that's not a good example, start with an equal sign that tells Excel it is not text, that you are expecting Excel to do math. One thing to be careful of with these spreadsheets is if you need to delete information, you can select, right-click, and click on delete. However, that may affect formulas that refer to those cells. So just keep that in mind. You may want to play around with whether or not you should actually just hit the delete key or right-click and select clear contents, because that changes the values, but not, it doesn't generate any reference errors. Undo that. All right, so that's kind of a basic overview. Remember, there's different data on every tab. If you want to draw pictures, you would use shapes and draw whatever you wanted to draw. I do encourage that. There is a draw tab. I'm not really familiar with it. It seems kind of not cool, not really worth it. Here's in page layout, margins, orientation is whether it's portrait or landscape, page size, if you want the same thing to print at the top of each page, if it goes on multiple pages, that's in page setup. Likewise, if you go to page setup, you can make it all fit onto one page and all that good stuff. Data, this is where you have data analysis, which allows you to do data statistics, a histogram, yeah, really all that good stuff. Here's spelling. Here's if you want to put it in a different view. Freeze panes is a good one. It allows you to keep certain rows and columns visible while you're scrolling through a larger document. The developer tab is something you have to install, and that allows you to do macros and Visual Basic stuff. So yeah, that's basically it. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to email me, and have fun doing Excel.